Welcome to another East Tradewinds presentation with Paul Kirch.
I came and spoke last year and talked about my program, Askology Method, and I'm a big proponent in asking questions, getting the other person engaged. The more you ask, the more that they trust you, the more that they're talking, the more they like you. It's just a weird dynamic that psychologically just proves to be true time and time again. But there's an aspect to selling that often is missed, and that's the idea that we should go in with confidence. Of course, everyone wants confidence in their selling, but what if we could actually assume we're going to get the business? And what if we go in with a consultative mindset and we actually position ourselves so that we can actually do our best to serve them? Because that's what it's really about. It's not about making a dime, it's about what can we do to stand out and be the best provider, enrich their life? At least that's how I see life. And if I don't believe in something, I can't sell it. So if I have something that I really think can transform them, I want to go in with a mindset of, listen, if I do my job right, I've done my research, I know their business, I know their challenges. I'm going to make an assumption that they're going to buy, and here's what I'm going to do to make their life richer. So let's talk a little bit about assumptive selling. So when we think about assumptive selling, it is a little different than consultative. Basically involves assuming the client's going to buy, and this allows you to frame conversations and guide them really towards making better decisions. So, a key principle, act as if the sale's already happening. Use confidence, create a proactive language, and it allows you to really serve them better. So why assumptive selling? Well, it really allows you to increase revenue, helps them maximize their offering by really coming in with additional services. You're prepared. You actually have in mind what they need, and you position yourself in a place where you're ready to stand out as something different because most times you come in and you're offering products and services. Well, if you come in offering solutions and solutions that are tailored to them, it puts you in a better place. It really does allow you to serve them better, being better at customer service. You're anticipating their needs and you position yourself as a trusted advisor, which I think is something we all want to do. And when it comes to client engagement, this allows us to really drive deeper relationships. We actually really truly can go in and understand their needs and fulfill their needs. But this is why we have to do a better job of asking right questions up front and put ourselves in a place where we understand what their challenges are, what their hurdles are. But once we do that, we can tailor solutions around them. So, what's the difference between consultative and assumptive selling? Well, consultative is really focusing on building trust, and you want to have credibility, you want to be a resource. Assumptive selling allows you to go a little further because you're taking a proactive stance. It allows you to assume additional services. You assume, hey, listen, they're going to need this, they're going to need this, and you go in tailoring with those offers that really position you in a stronger place. It allows you to come across as somebody who maybe, if they're dealing with stress, all buying decisions take place at an emotional level. And if you know that they're facing hurdles and challenges in their business, maybe they're struggling with growth, maybe they're struggling with a bankruptcy. They've filed Chapter 11 and they're trying to get out from underneath that, and you have solutions that can help them. Well, you actually can come in and save the day, and they really deserve the best that you have to offer. If you truly believe you can help them, then I think it positions you in a stronger place. With an assumptive mindset, you're going to start thinking about what else can I offer them? What else can I do for them? And maybe those are upcharges. Maybe those are things that you include, but add-on solutions allow you to really position yourself stronger. And really, in my opinion, any selling activity should be a win-win scenario. You don't want to be just about what you get from them. What are you really offering them? What can you do for them? Of course, you want to benefit, but you want to do what you can to serve them and create a win-win solution. So there's some steps in assumptive selling that I think are critical. One is really understand the client's needs. You can be assumptive. If you understand their needs, you can tailor solutions that benefit them. Asking the right questions. This is where you really want to dig in. You want to understand what are their challenges? What are the hurdles? What are the things that they really are facing? What are those emotional struggles they're facing? Maybe it's something related to payroll, and maybe it's not even something they're struggling with. Maybe they're excited about growth. They've got a new product launch, and you position yourself in a way that you can help them. So, how can you take your knowledge and leverage that and really become a consultative expert? That's really a big part of this mindset of assumptive selling. Use your expertise to tailor recommendations. Feature and benefit selling is something that a lot of us have fallen into the trap of over the years, thinking that that's the answer. It's like, oh, we're gonna, because we get excited about our own products and services internally. We get excited about the things that make our products enriched and the things that we like about it. But that's not necessarily what people are buying. They're buying things that solve their problems. They're buying things that give them peace of mind. They're buying things that help them create stability in their company. So we need to think about what are the benefits to them, but benefits in a way that tap into those emotional needs. So how can we highlight additional services that are going to help them achieve their goals? And this is where any good salesperson is going to focus on finding a way of creating some upsells at some point. How can you reinforce other offers? But those offers have to be relevant. They have to be a fit. And the big thing in assumptive selling is you're going in from a place of confidence. You go in believing that you have the solution that can help them. And if you do, take a stance of confidence and put yourself in a position to really help them. There's order takers and there's order makers. The order taker is the person, you mentioned your coffee person, Wayne. I love coffee as well. You walk into a coffee shop, the person behind the counter takes your order. They simply fulfill the request. They're seen as something that's quite frankly replaceable. Anybody can step into that position. Now that same person is an order maker, and they come in and you say, "Well, I'd like a light black coffee." That's great, Wayne, but I notice you've been coming in and adding some vanilla cream to your coffee. We got this great new product in, and they start talking about the features and benefits of this vanilla based latte that just sounds delicious to you. It's a little bit more expensive, a little bit of an upsell, but it's going to be a greater experience. They become an order maker. They're proactively uncovering your needs. If you've ever walked into a store and somebody comes over and says, "Oh, this jacket would look so great on you," and then they start showing you things, it creates a different experience than just somebody who's there to take your order. So one of the things that I'm a big fan of is creating a dessert experience. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and you've had a big meal, and at the end of the experience, the waiter comes over and they say, "Well, would you like some dessert?" Maybe you do, but chances are you're probably full and you're not necessarily interested in dessert. But that same waiter walks over with this tray of decadent desserts. They've got the cheesecake, the double chocolate fudge cake. They've got, peach cobbler and all these things. And you see them on the plate and you start thinking about the experience of, oh my gosh, this is going to taste so great. You see it, you feel it. It's a different experience. So creating a dessert experience when you ask, would you like dessert versus you show them an experience? It's so much richer. So this is a great way of creating upsell experiences. So in our businesses, what's your dessert experience? What are you offering that really helps you stand out? You didn't necessarily need dessert, but you went from disinterested to you create desire. How can you create desire in your buyers? What are some things you can do that really help you tap into that emotional desire, that emotional need that they're facing? You create better customer satisfaction. And to me, satisfaction is really a low form of success. I want to create loyalty. You can be satisfied with Walmart, but you might drive across the street to Target because it's got a better deal. You're not loyal. I want that loyalty. What can I do to keep them coming back and seeing me as something different? I want to create that five-star experience. And you can do that with an assumptive position. You can create your own dessert experience. So think about your core product or offering, your services and solutions that you have. What is it that you have that's unique, that's special? And if you don't have something, you need to start thinking about how can you define a dessert experience? What are the add-ons? What are the things that can benefit them? What can you do to go above and beyond? So think about the needs you're solving, and then can you create assumptive statements that don't seem pushy, that seem confident, but seem like they're tailored to them and really help them stand out. So if we think about dessert, what's that look like? Well, what if you can demonstrate value before asking? Maybe you've got something that you can show them like a demo, or you can take them through a real time experience. Whatever it ends up being, you go from explaining to showing. What if you engage their senses, their emotions? You know that they're facing challenges. You know they've got hurdles because you've asked the right questions. So what are the things you can do to show them that you've got the solutions? Instead of just talking about it, what are some visual things you can do? Interactive, protection. Perhaps you get them immersed in a conversation or an experience, and then how you simplify the decision for them. Remove the friction. Taking something that's complex and making it simple is not always the easiest process, but once you understand what their needs are and the solutions you have, you can eliminate a lot of risk and you can make them more interested in you and make you seem like you're different than any other person that's been talking to them. The other S, what's it going to look like for them if they work with you? Is there an outcome that they can expect? Help them understand what that experience is going to be. Wow, I really want that. That's the dessert I'm looking for. I want to know that if I work with you, it's going to be a richer experience. And then how can you take that to another level? Take that experience, make it feel more special, make it feel, you're intentional with it and you really know what you're talking about and you leave them wanting more. And that's the key here with the dessert experience. Is there risk on their end? Well, how can you eliminate some of that risk? When I think about some of the clients I've worked with, I remember years ago we had somebody that I'd come in to present, and at the end of the presentation, I'm in a room full of like I think there was like 25 people in there, and I was expecting two. President of the company was there, and at the end of the presentation, the president stands up and says, "Well, that was great, but I think we're happy with our current supplier." And when I was younger, I probably would have walked out of there disappointed. But instead, I stopped and I said, "Let me ask you a question. You spent all this time, you spent an hour of your time, you've got 25 other people in this room, and I've been talking to your team for a few weeks. That's a lot of time and dedication when you're happy with your current supplier. So clearly, you're looking for something. You were hoping to hear something today. You wanted something out of this meeting that didn't happen. What were you looking for?" And all of a sudden, he opened up and he started talking about solutions. And then I talked about how I could actually help him and save them money. And one of the things that they'd been facing with their current vendor, we had solved that solution years before. And we put a position in place that prevented us from having the same issues they were currently having. I was able to eliminate that risk. Next thing you know, I'm getting proposals, I'm getting opportunities. They became one of my largest clients, and it all changed because I didn't walk out of the room. I stopped and asked the question, and I was able to eliminate the risk that they were currently facing. And then how do you trigger momentum? What's the next step? They thinking about, okay, if they want this, here's the next step, and let's put it in place. Quite frankly, most people don't have a dessert offering. No dessert? Well, maybe you're missing out on a great opportunity. Maybe you're alienating. So when I spoke last time, I talked about Askology Method, but I want to touch on the four question types that Method focuses on: leading questions or discovery questions, or excuse me, guiding questions. These are questions that you probably already know the answer to. And this allows you to ask some questions that what they say, you can take that information and now you have permission to talk about your offering and your solutions. Maybe it's something simple where you're getting them to talk about something they're already facing and you kind of know, hey, yeah, this is exactly what I think they're going to say. And you go in prepared and now you can talk about your offering without it seeming like a pitch. So those are your leading questions. Your investigative questions are the ones you don't have answers to, but with that information, you think you can drive the conversation where you want it to go. This is not about control, but this is about controlling the flow of the conversation. This is about controlling the sales process so you allow yourself to serve them better. But you ask questions that you don't know the answer to. Now, all of a sudden, with that information, you can talk about your offering and your solutions. And it goes from you pitching and telling them why they should buy to your having a conversation that allows you to serve them better. Maybe you know that they're facing some real hurdles. They're facing some challenges. Maybe they've revealed some things during the conversation that you picked up. You can tap into those things and ask empathy questions. These are the ones that allow you to show them that you really understand what they're going through. Gosh, I know that you guys just filed for Chapter 11. What's that experience been like? What's the morale of the team? Now all of a sudden you're tapping into some things that allow you to connect with them where they're struggling emotionally and allows you to be seen as somebody who really cares about them and understands them. And the fourth question type can be, I always say it's like poking the bear, gently poking the bear. Use it with caution, but instigating questions. Gosh, I'm really shocked that your previous vendor botched that project. What was that like? How did that make your team feel? Well, you tapped into something that may be a little sensitive, but that's a conversation, depending on where you are in the relationship, that allows you to really go deep It allows you to encourage them to think differently and perhaps see you as different and maybe even come up with different solutions. So, asking questions, it really does create an opportunity where you allow them to do the talking. You're seen as somebody that they trust, that really they want to engage with, and it creates opportunities. Now, for those of you that weren't here last time, I'm offering a free download of my Askology ebook. Just simply go to paulkirch.com, Askology_free. Feel free to download the ebook and let me know if I can support you anytime. But quite frankly, questions allow you to guide their path. It uncovers needs and it helps you identify those areas that they're struggling and create awareness. Quite frankly, you're guiding the process. You're guiding them down the sales process in a way that allows you to help you serve them better because you're taking them where you want them to go. And assumptive selling, it all comes back to being bold and being confident, but it does put you in a place where you can be the hero. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here today. If everyone needs a hero, and if I can help support you in any way, I'm happy to. My contact information's here on the screen.
We thank you for watching. We meet every Tuesday between 8 and 9 a.m. Eastern. There is no cost and an option to become a speaker too. Find East Tradewinds on LinkedIn.